I've actually made some notes because
That's fine.
that's
If
just
there's
how I roll.
parts, if there's certain parts you want to talk about, we'll go right ahead. Anyway, ready to go?
I am.
All right. G'day all you beautiful people out there, my name is Mortal Phoenix and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. I am joined by the fabulous Fiona West.
Thanks for having me.
You are very
Lovely
much
to be
welcome.
here.
So, today we are discussing, I guess, grammar and how it's protruded over the years.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about how things have changed a lot and whether it's for the better or worse. I don't know, maybe we'll make a decision on that.
Hopefully. Well, after this we'll probably put up a poll just to give you guys a voice and see what you think. So first of all, what's your opinion? How do you think it's gone over?
Well, I've just noticed myself personally that, and this isn't just as a journalism lecturer, this is just in general, that definitely grammar is slipping in society, and I wonder why that is. I mean, I just think it could be a mixture of people just don't really care so much anymore. Maybe they're not really learning the rules the same way that they learnt them, years ago. Or maybe it's a reflection of society in general. I mean, maybe we just don't care so much in terms of our publications, our media, in terms of what the weighting that people give to with grammar, punctuation, spelling, that sort of stuff in society. And I know myself, I spot a lot of grammatical errors in things just in general, in street signs, in menus, in pamphlets and things like that. And whenever I pick up on them, in general, people just look at me and think, does it really matter? Aren't you being a bit pedantic? Isn't that a bit, grammar Nazi?
The problem is, especially now, everyone's talking in acronyms. And,
yeah, totally.
You've got WTF and LOL, and
That's
it's
right.
People just lose their sense of spelling and their sense of punctuation, and sometimes even professional businesses,
For sure.
they have so many grammatical errors and you're just oh my god, you're supposed to be pro, what is wrong with you?
But the acronym thing gets me a little bit. I don't mind it, it's fine. Quite often when I will get an acronym come up, I do have to Google it. I'm I don't know what this new acronym is, and I'll be using the old acronyms and everyone's like, yeah, no, they're so out, you don't use LOL anymore. But the new acronym that everyone does, well, it's not even an acronym, it's like a single letter. I get a lot of, hi F, how are you today, blah, 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 love W. And I'm like, why can't you just write your name out?
Yeah.
This is another big thing, right?
Well, people get lazy and they get complacent too.
Is that what it is?
I'm pretty
You
sure
can't
that...
be bothered writing the entire, the whole 5 letters involved in your name.
But I admit, whenever I sign off in comments or anything, I always use my initials because...
Do you?
I do.
2 initials or just
two
the first?
initials.
Oh, okay, well, it's a bit different.
But that's only because, if I'm in a hurry, then it's easy to do JG
Yeah.
or MP rather than,
So
write out
JJ's
my
okay though, JJ's called FW. There's a few connotations with FW that I'm not happy with, but I don't like using FW.
Yeah, you got to be very careful.
You do indeed.
So, just going back on topic a little bit, do you think that because grammar has decreased, it's got something to do with teachers today? Some of the newer teachers that are coming in?
Oh, yeah, look, definitely. I know that there have been actual studies that have shown that when they gave some teachers a quiz themselves, I think it might have been late last year, where the Department of Education did a grammatical test with some primary school teachers and they could not answer basic grammatical questions. And I know they're now changing that too for entry-level teachers, so they are actually going to be made to, they have to meet certain grammatical criteria. And that's across all subjects, not just across English in high school or in primary school. But is the standard of teachers slipping? I think that it has been identified that to get into teaching you don't need a really high mark. They're looking at changing that.
Yeah, it seems that way. I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, because you guys probably know the Hectic Dragon, he's a good mate of mine, but he wanted to get into teaching. And the ATAR that was needed, I think, was 78 or something like that.
Right, which is relatively high, right?
Yeah,
or not?
This course is a 68 ATAR.
So there you go.
I think... Because I remember somewhere that your HSC marks have to be 90 max or minimum for you to actually start training as a teacher. Way back when, and now it's dropped significantly.
Yeah, and I think that the pay scale reflects it as well. I mean, if you're not getting paid well, people tend to look at, sadly, obviously, you look at professions where you're going to be able to survive. financially, and it's not a high-paying job. So, you know, that's another turn-off as well for teachers. I think if teachers, you know, it's like anything. If you want to have good quality people in a particular profession, pay them what they deserve.
Yeah.
And it is such an important profession. And I guess if the people that are teaching you how to write, how to communicate, don't have a good grasp on that themselves, then how are you ever going to learn it? Most people aren't going to go and read a grammar book. Most people aren't going to, you know, sit there and read The Elements of Style by Strunk and White unless they're forced to do it. You know, but we are lazy now because, as you say, like we've got, you know, spell check, we've got Grammarly, there's lots of apps and things that you can use.
And half the time, spell checks don't work.
No.
And, you know, like even today, a lot of people don't read books.
Yeah.
Like, I catch a train to and from school every day, and I very rarely see someone opening a book and actually reading.
They might be reading it on their iPad or their phone, I don't know.
But even, that's true. But even then, like, if you read on a screen, everything becomes distorted after a while. Like, I was reading Girl with the Dragon Tattoo last night.
Okay.
And I was reading that on my phone, and the whole thing just got distorted, and it's like, I can't read it on this.
Oh. Well, I think your eyes get a bit tired too. I do like to read a book after being on the screens all day. I just like to have that break from the white screen. But, you know, I think that the long form, people reading long form has definitely gone down. People they like to have things in bite-sized chunks that they can quickly digest. And even when it comes to news, I mean, people feel like they know what's going on in the news, they've read the news, you know, they've read the news. But they might have just read the headlines, or they might have just read some tweets and stuff, but they still feel like they've read it because everything now is short and quicker, you know, easily digestible. And it's not written in that long form, so I guess a lot of the stuff we're reading isn't that quality grammar that we associate with, you know, literature or with the written word.
Yeah.
Even some of the modern day journalism, that is really great journalism, and there's nothing wrong with it, it's just got a different flavour. They will incorporate, you know, acronyms and emojis and, you know, more colloquial ways of talking than you would in a formal sort of, you know, what would have been the old style journalistic ways of consuming news.
Yeah. So you're a lecturer here at Macleay College. So you teach Foundations in News for first year students.
That's right, yeah.
So do you see some students, when they're presenting essays, when they're presenting their assessments, you sometimes look at them and go, I really want to nitpick at that, but I know that they're still learning and I can't? Or do you just go, you need to work on this?
It is my job to nitpick at that sort of stuff, and you'll probably find that most people, once they get it, once someone brings it to their attention and says, why are you whacking these apostrophes in everywhere? Like, you know, you're really bad with your apostrophes. No, you know, like someone needs to tell you that this isn't how you do it. Generally, then they will pay attention to that. They've just been whacking them in everywhere because no one's ever taught them the rule, or they learned the rule when they were in year 2 and they've never revisited it. And no one's bothered to bring it to their attention again, so they're just not bothered. And look, honestly, it can sometimes be as simple as saying, you know what, you only put an apostrophe in a word if it's possessive or it's a contraction of 2 words. And then, and just say to them, look, every time you put an apostrophe in, just think about it. Just be mindful of it. Don't just go, yeah, that'll do, whack it in or don't whack it in. So no, I think it is a job of any teacher. I don't think it matters whether you're at university, college or school. If you're seeing that, to bring it to someone's attention. And look, some people don't care and they won't listen to you and they just go, well, I'm just going to continue to do it my own way. Yeah. Obviously, as a journalist, you have to care, you should care, because words are your tools. But you know, some people will continue to do it and they just think it doesn't really matter anymore. And I think that's what concerns me the most, is this thing that you hear when I talk about seeing it in society, seeing bad grammar, or I'll read a newspaper article and I circle the mistakes and people will just laugh at me and go, who cares? You're the only one that cares. And I think, well, why? Surely people care.
Well, if anything, like if you're a writer, if you're a journalist, you really just got to pick up on mistakes.
Yeah.
And the more you pick up on it, the more it makes it look professional, the more it makes it look neater, rather than someone like yourself going around and finding the mistakes for them.
Yeah, and I think also too that people will judge you by poor grammar. You know, it is a sign of intelligence, and so I think that, you know, if you are writing an email to a potential employer, or even just to, you know, you're writing to a letter of complaint or something to someone in society, or you know, a business letter or maybe a letter of introduction to a school or something like that. Like, it's really important that, you know, you don't want people to be looking at the grammar. Like, you just want them to be reading the message. But if they're distracted by bad grammar and bad spelling, they will immediately judge you for that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, I think people will judge you based on that. You don't want that to happen. So I think it's important to pay attention to your grammar. And look, I wouldn't go so far as to say people do this, but even when you're writing a birthday card, I think that you should have good grammar, because you want the person just to be enjoying the fact that you're saying have a nice birthday and not worrying about, oh, okay, I've got to put the apostrophe in there.
Yeah.
Do people do that? I don't know if they do that.
I've seen on Facebook where people just like have, I hope your day is great, and it's like URG8, and you're just like, no, why? You're so complacent.
Exactly. Well, you know, good grammar is the difference between knowing your shit and knowing your shit.
Yeah.
With an apostrophe.
So going a bit off topic, do you think that education needs to be changed in order to fit today's circumstances, given the fact that Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all these social medias are taking over and encouraging the use of acronyms and shortens? Do you think that education has to keep up to try and fix it, or do you think it should just carry on its path?
Yeah, no, it can't fix it. Move with the times, definitely, and it's an adjunct to learning, so you have to incorporate that into everything that you do and acknowledge that, you know, the people that you're teaching are definitely going to be spending a lot of their time on these platforms, and they're going to be doing a lot of the communicating that way. That's just fact. But at the same time, so yeah, we can acknowledge that, and even we do that here at Macleay. We're not saying you have to abide by the old grammatical journalism ways of inverted pyramid and blah blah. We teach that, and we say this is the traditional way, but hey, look, you know, if you want to go and work for Junkie or BuzzFeed, or, you know, even some of the mainstream news now that are adopting more modern approaches to, you know, the way that journalism is produced, I think that you still have to say, well, here's a traditional way. This is good grammar, this is good punctuation, this is good English. But you know what? There's other ways of doing it too, and you're going to experience that, and you're going to be part of that, and that's cool. But you have to know that you're doing it. You know that you're breaking the rules. You know that you're doing experiencing this other side. So I think that you still teach the traditional grammar and methods and stuff, but then you allow people to experiencing that as well, and knowing that it's a different side of things. Yeah, you can't just ignore it. Yeah, I don't think.
No, well, I'm the same. You can't ignore anything. I mean, you really have to take everything on board with a pinch of salt still as well. Yep. No matter what you're taught, no matter what you see, no matter what you hear, you always got to take it lightly and just go, okay, do I check that? And especially if it's on Facebook and everyone's shortening their words or using incorrect spelling, you're like, you're touchy, very touchy.
But I think you can have some fun with it, and I know that like social media, it is more fun, it is edgy. I mean, if you were being really formal on, you know, Snapchat, people would just go, who is this person? You know, it's not what it's for. So the idea is that you are meant to be a little bit more fun and, you know, use your acronyms and use emojis and all that sort of stuff, and that's cool. But I think that...
Do you think that using Twitter, because Twitter's such a journalistic or news-based platform now, do you think that having to use Twitter as your primary account would mean you have to make it a bit more professional? Or?
That's definitely more of a professional side, absolutely. And even though that too can be quite sort of, you know, edgy, it's still, and quite funny, and people, it's quite opinionated, there's a lot of commentary in there, but I think that people still, because you're largely, you know, you're not usually using Twitter to say this is what I had for dinner. It's more usually a reflection of what's going on in the world and commenting and sharing posts, and it's more about connecting with your community or your industry. I think people tend to be more, not formal, but just use correct grammar. Like, they're more aware of the fact that they might be getting judged for if they do make spelling mistakes. I mean, you know, we've seen what happened with Kafifi, you know, so we've had, and Rupert Murdoch, you know, he used to put out tweets with spelling mistakes and things, and you think, you know, you've got someone who runs like the biggest media empire in the world that's, you know, making these mistakes, and you can't really edit them because people already start retweeting them, and then it's a bad look. So, you know, I think people excuse mistakes, but I think that they are still judged for them as well, particularly if you're in a position of, you know, like if you're a politician or, you know, you're something like that. You want to get your tweets at least spelled correctly.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So I think that's going to do it for us for Let's Talk this week. please,
Thank you.
thank you, Fiona.
I hope that wasn't too boring for you all.
I don't think so. I mean, it's definitely a topic that needed to be raised. It's definitely something that had to...
Just be aware of it.
Exactly, yeah. So, just before we go, any closing thoughts?
Look, you know, I guess if there's anything at all that you want to take away from this, it's just apostrophes. Apostrophes, the bane of my life. Do not put an apostrophe in it's unless it is the contraction of two words. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, there we go. So, cheers all you beautiful people for watching. I almost forgot my outro there. If you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button to let us know. Also, let us know what you want us to talk about next time in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe for new videos to come in the future. Please thank Fiona West again. Give her lots of love in the comment section, and be sure to check her out on Twitter. I'll put a link in the description. And until next time, we'll see all of you in the next video. Bye!
Thanks, JJ.
Awesome. Thank you.